Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 28. Happy 9/14 day.
Yes, I should have driven my 914 to work.
You should have. We have Manny, our technical director, here today. We also have Damon, our digital media coordinator. Robert Forsyth is behind the scenes, making all the electrons work. And so what have we done since our last podcast?
Well, the open house was a big deal on Saturday.
It was the largest open house we've had to date. It technically would have been our 11th, but it was actually our 10th because we had to cancel one of our open houses during COVID times. But man, the cars starting 8 o'clock started to come in, then 9, the big wave started to come in, and by 10:30 or so, we ran out of parking spaces. 250 or so cars.
I think, did you count them, Damon, or somebody?
Well, I counted them at 10:15, and it was not quite 150, but there were still people coming in.
Yeah.
Because after we filled up in the spaces that we were told the volunteers to help out, then we just started directing people to further lots, and we weren't parking the people there. We were just telling them to park themselves. But true to form, PC people started showing up by 10 o'clock when the event officially started. There was no parking. I heard somebody say, "Oh my God, I got here at 10 o'clock when it started, and there's no parking."
Yeah.
It was, but PCA people always come early, and it was funny since I was in charge of parking. I think Jim and I was. I didn't see what Jim. I didn't see what Jim
at me for interfering
because you micromanage parking.
Because I want to park a certain way. I kept looking over. He's like, "Leave it alone. Look the other way," which I did. I eventually did.
Yeah, we work for volunteers.
We do,
and I'm grateful for their any help I get. And he did a great job. We had a meeting beforehand. We talked about our crazy neighbor and how just to let him go by, and he didn't disappoint. He showed up, and we parked the cars that were exactly how I told them. We were going to fill in the front space first, and then work our way down. But there's always people who believe that they're the only person bringing a Porsche to this show.
I've got a special one.
Yes,
I've got a special one.
I'm self-aware. I brought my my wife and I came down in her seal gray 987 Boxster, which by itself it's a special car, but in a sea of Porsches, especially at open house, it's pretty much a beige Toyota Corolla. So I just parked it in the corner, took the top down, and left it there. I figured,
and it doesn't really matter where you park, honestly, because people walk around and look at all the cars, and it's the area is not that huge where you're worried they're in a different zip code or something.
There was people all in all different places hanging out, so it wasn't like a central area. But sure enough, you have someone who doesn't like their parking space. Someone came up to me and said, "I want to move up to the front." And I said, "What's wrong where you're at right now?" "I don't like it." I'm like, "Well, why not?" Because I don't like it. At that point, I'm like, I'm not going to argue. I'm like, sure, bring it up. Whatever makes you happy.
If it makes you happy. I was impressed about how far people came to the open house. We got a knock on the door on Friday, and John Budenich, formerly with Michelin, came up from Greenville, South Carolina. He and his wife drove up, what was an awesome surprise. We had people.
He had a beautiful 992 in shark blue.
Shark blue.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
Everyone was commenting on that color.
Yep. And then we had someone trailer down a beautiful 356 from New York. We had plenty of people from Pennsylvania, Virginia. It was awesome.
I saw a California black plate, actually, an original black plate on one of the cars.
Really?
Yeah, I did. It was an old 911, the light green. I forget what that color is called. But I'm kind of doubting you drove from California.
Yeah. That would be impressive if you
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to see all the cars. I kind of have to look at all of your photos to see all the cars that were there because I was inside from 11 till about 2 o'clock.
Well, you'll probably see a bunch of them today during the podcast.
Okay,
For
cool.
the first time, right?
Oh, looks like a Skittles of colors there.
Yep.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
since the weather was beautiful, I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, we knew it was going to be a great turnout, and
One application of sunscreen. That's all I needed.
Yeah, just
yeah, I didn't remember sunscreen until about 4 o'clock that day.
So thank you to our volunteers, as Manny said. They did a great job parking the cars, but they helped under the tent. They helped all over the place, with the food and everything. Thank you to the PCA HQ staff for giving up a Saturday to be here. And I saw a lot of people walking. We had some tremendous merchandise sales too. I saw like people walking around. There must have been good prices.
My wife contributed to that.
Oh, she did? Because you don't have enough.
She bought some
logo
T-shirts
shirts
that I didn't even know we carried because I'm looking at it when we got home, and I said, you bought this at the sale? And she said, yeah. I'm like, I never knew we had this. It was she said, oh, Charlotte said it was from a couple years ago at the parade store.
Yeah.
And luckily, or unluckily, it wasn't my size. But she bought it for our daughter, and it's a real soft T-shirt material, the kind that's not the Hanes beefy tee, but they're really soft, expensive type. So $5.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, before we keep going, I want to thank some folks that, with the last podcast, left us some comments on YouTube. I want to thank Joey Hill, Kyle Brightman, Brian I, Matt W, Jeffrey Lang, Ian Harding, and Bill Georges. Thank you guys for leaving a comment on YouTube. And I want to thank Dan. We're like Pitbull. We're like worldwide now. Dan from Porsche Club of Sweden gave us 5 stars.
I saw that comment.
And left us a note. So I was kind of curious. I kept looking through the podcast listing to see where else are people listening to PCA. And I saw that people are listening, and these are just a few. Great Britain, of course, Canada, Australia, Germany, Japan, Italy, South Africa. And guess what? We're number 13 in the Czech Republic.
All right. Well, shout out to the Czech Republic.
Shout out to the Czech Republic.
I don't know how many people that is, but all right.
Number 13 on the list there. That's pretty cool. Oh.
So it'll be interesting the next time they have a international presidents meeting. For the listeners, they do this every few years.
Every few years, yeah.
They do it. They have a European presidents meeting, but the international one isn't annual. But the international is pretty cool because obviously everyone from around the world comes representing their club, and most of them are like Porsche Club Japan, Porsche Club Sweden. PCA is without a doubt the gorilla in the room. We're the biggest by far, and so we're looked upon sometimes in awe of the fact that it's all volunteer, that the leadership of PCA, and having so many members and so many regions and so many events, they're just they have so many questions about how things run. So it'll be fun to see this time, next time around, if they talk about the podcast, now that they're getting a little inside look at how PCA operates behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's interesting when we do attend these meetings. We feel kind of like rock stars that they're very impressed at what, this obviously the size of PCA and the largest single car club in the world, but the number of activities. And when they hear of something like the PCA Open House drawing, 200, 250 cars, 500, 600 people, like to them, that would be for most of them, they wouldn't even be able to have a event that large. Yeah. But to some of them, that is like their largest event.
It's probably at this point good to note that we are 150,000 members now.
Yeah.
And yesterday, September 13th, was PCA's 67th birthday.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So 67 years old.
So do you know how many people it started with? So September 13th, 1955, Bill Scholar, our founder, came around a table at a restaurant in D.C. called Blackie's House of Beef, and that was their first official meeting. Do you know how many people were around that table?
I've heard it started out with 13, right?
It started out with 13, but the 13th person, or one of the 13, actually came up in a VW, and unfortunately was asked to leave. I don't know if it's unfortunately or fortunately, but I get why they asked them to leave, because they wanted it to be a pure Porsche focus. So actually it was 12 individuals in 1955 till what we have today, over 150,000. That's pretty darn amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The thing I admire most when I think about the history of our club is that we were, the forefathers decided to keep it all together as far as one club.
Under one umbrella.
Yeah, in Germany, I tell people there's, I think Porsche told us there's over 100 Porsche clubs in Germany alone. Mm-hmm. And I look at my county, there's 3 Corvette clubs in my county, where PCA put everything under the national umbrella of the Porsche Club of America, and that made us strong, mm-hmm. and that made us a powerful force for Porsche to deal with. And the Classic Club Coupe is part of that reason of why they came to us and not other Porsche clubs that do projects like this. So yeah, kudos to our ancestors for having the forethought to keep everything together.
Yeah, so who would have thought, right? I mean, cars back in the day, or Porsches back in the day, were sold at European dealers. So these dealers that carried a number of European makes and models, and not like today where you have distinct Porsche dealerships where you could go to. So they needed help, and they wanted to rely on each other as owners and coming together, and we're still, that passion lives on today.
Yeah, my favorite scenes at the open house, which was, I think, unexpected, because we were expecting one speedster, Mr. Bills, and then 4 of them showed up.
It was crazy.
And, it was pretty cool because I don't think they had met each other. Because at the end of the day, I saw them like saying goodbye, like keep in touch, and great meeting you. So it was cool. It's always cool to have a speedster at an event, but
when you had
4 of them,
and they were unique because I think Chip Reichert's 356 is earlier than Mr. Bill's. I believe it is, because I had looked at, by the gear shift knob, there's like a spinny knob. I guess I don't know how to describe it.
Heat control.
The heat control, right?
Okay.
But the heat control in Chip's car was behind the shifter, and then in Mr. Bill's car, the heater control is in front of the shifter. And Mr. Bill was just chuckling, saying, well, mine's better because the reason why they moved it is so that when you shift to third, the gear shift lever isn't so close to the dash. So it's closer to the driver, further away from the dash. So I don't know when that happened, but I mean, even though there were 4 speedsters, they were unique.
They were all A speedsters. The rare one is like that Bob has, the 54.
Yeah.
With the
pre-A, right?
Yeah, you can tell the 2 has 2 gauges, not 3.
Oh.
So if you look on the wall here, where our offices are, the big mural, you can see the picture of all the speedsters parked.
Right.
And you can pick out, you'll see right there inside, you can see the dashes, and some are 2 and some are 3 gauge. So
And Bill's being a 58 is the last year officially until
really the last year recognized. They did make some Carrera speedsters, a handful in 59, but 58's normally.
There's another one.
Yeah, that's Chips.
That's Chips.
The
That's
funny thing
Chips,
about
okay.
that Chips was a couple of years back, somebody put that on Facebook because he had it at the Hunt Valley Cars and Coffee, and they put on there, "This is a really nice replica." And I wrote, "It's not a replica." He goes, "No, I know these cars. This is a replica."
Yeah.
And I said, "I know the owner, and he's owned it like for 30 or 40 years. It's not a replica. Trust me."
Yeah.
And this guy couldn't get through his head that it was
I
a
mean,
real speedster.
There's specific things that you need to look for when you see these speedsters at shows, because it's hard to believe that a real one is actually at a Cars and Coffee. But for me, it's always peeking underneath the dash and finding the fuel shut off and the e-brake and stuff like that.
Usually a handbrake is the easiest.
Yeah, the
telltale
handbrake
sign.
is easiest, because most of the replicas are like VW bug based, so it's easy to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you don't want to tap on the body of the car, but metal versus
So in
fiberglass.
between there was that beautiful C Cabriolet.
Yes, that had like almost no miles.
Just recently restored.
yeah.
It looked like it was rolling into the field at Concours.
Yeah.
I mean, the top was like flawless.
And that's Bill on the left, and probably, I'm guessing, one of the other speedster owners, or both of them.
That's
Chip is
Rob.
Rob in the middle, Rob Abbott in the middle,
Yeah.
and Chip to the right. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think they had. I know Rob and Chip, I think, know each other, but
Yeah.
they just. It was pretty cool seeing. You would think all speedster owners know each other, but didn't seem to be that case.
Yeah, I'm sure
Here.
they know of each other's cars. That's the thing is,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see cars and you know them right away, but you not necessarily know the
I
owner.
put a picture of, because Mr. Bill has a armrest
Yeah.
on his door, on the driver's side door, and he told me all about how rare that option was. So I posted a picture of just the armrest on Instagram, and immediately people are like, "Oh, that's Bill's car."
Oh, really?
All these people
All right.
saying, even Bill's brothers, "That's my brother's car."
That's my brother's car.
I was like, "Wow!" being
It's
able to-
interesting all the options that car had. It had the comfort seats, it had that armrest. It had a bunch of things that might think that did he swap things out, or
for me,
did he
for
build
me
it
is
himself?
the headlight grills.
Yeah, exactly, all stock. And I don't even think the COA lists some of that. I believe because they just didn't do that if you had a little minor option like
Their
that.
records weren't that great back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat cars.
But my favorite was the car that we recently did a video on. Is the 993 Club Sport.
Oh, yep. Yeah, it's
Oh,
that
the
white car
RS.
that was in front of the
Yeah.
tent.
Yeah. And, you know,
Yep.
unfortunately, much like Bob's lightweight 964 C4 lightweight, people are just walking
There it
by
is.
it.
Yeah.
I don't think they really understood what it was because it's so rare
Yeah.
that you almost have to have like a docent standing by to explain how rare this car is and what
Right,
it
because
is.
if people didn't know, they just think, oh, somebody tracks this 993, so they just stripped it out, right? But
Yeah,
Came
so,
from the factory.
like you said, we did a video on the difference between the 993, the Carrera RS 993, and then the Carrera RS Club Sport, which looks very close to a Super Cup 993.
We filmed that, last week actually, just
Yeah.
before the open house. So we'll have that out in the next month or so.
cool. Let's see. Speaking of car stuff that we did since our last podcast, I kind of had a little car thing. So I had a breakfast meeting with Peter Sontag from Fastlane Travel, who handles our European Treffen. And as you guys know, I've been kind of slumming it in my son's Honda Fit as I've been rebuilding it. So I was like, I probably should pick him up in a Porsche. so I had the Cayennes on the driveway, and it's not plugged into a battery tender like my other cars that are on the inside. And wouldn't you know it, the battery was like dead, and it hadn't been driven for maybe 3 weeks. And I guess that's enough to, it's a good battery, it's not a bad battery, but that 3 weeks is enough to drain a car.
Yeah, I guess so.
The newer cars, yeah.
The newer cars.
Oh, sure.
So what do you think is going on in the car that drains a full battery down in 3
I don't know.
weeks?
3 weeks is, that's not a long time.
Well,
That's
how old's the
Like,
battery? Because first of all, I bet your battery is not new.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
And if you keep it on a trickle charger, you might not know when it's starting to go bad, right? Because every time it fires up.
Right, and I
So-
actually had that happen to me. My Mustang, I always keep on a trickle charger. So, one day I went out to drive it, and I could start in the garage, no problem. And then wherever I got to, it barely started. So then I have this battery tester. If you don't have, Amazon sells them, these battery testers that you can plug in. It tells you the health of the battery, and it was like down to like 10%. But because it was on a
wow.
battery charger. And here's the silly thing is, so I drove it. I had no choice to drive it, but I think what happened was my alternator had to work extra hard to keep the charge or something like that, or maybe it messed up. I don't know. Anyways, what ended up happening was I messed up the alternator because I was driving with a bad battery.
I had
think so.
so I replaced my alternator on the Camry somewhat recently, and what had happened, I thought the alternator couldn't have gone bad, but it was just on the connection. And I don't know what connections are called, just a bunch of wiring that I put back in the same spot. But
Yeah.
one of the connections had started to have some buildup and corrosion, and I just brushed it off, and it's working just fine.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, so then of course, luckily I checked it the night before, and so I put it on a battery tender, and it's good, and I've been driving it no problem.
nice.
Yeah. So I guess there's so many computers nowadays.
That's
in
your car giving you a warning that your battery may be going. You may be in the market for a new battery.
Yeah.
We did a video about replacing the battery. Gosh, what
Well,
4 or 5 years ago now.
I was about, we know exactly when I put that battery in the Cayenne because it's on YouTube, so we should probably look it up.
Yeah.
And I went cheap, and the next one, because I didn't think I was going to keep the Cayenne that long. I know.
Which I think you noted in the video, actually, too.
Yeah. And Manny's rolling his eyes because I keep everything for eternity.
Denial with a capital D.
So yeah, I'll have to check the health of the battery.
But I had the race car. I used to go for a battery almost every year.
Yeah.
And we were convinced it was because it got so beat up just because of it was just a race car, so it was bouncing. It didn't take much for it to break the all the little plates inside the battery.
Oh, yep. There
There's
it
a
is.
video of you changing your.
I know we can't talk to Robert right now. So 2020 is so it's
wow.
only 2 years old. The battery.
Jeez, that's not a long time.
That's not a long time. But you know what though?
Unless you bought a 12-month battery.
But I'm convinced batteries today don't last as long as batteries from a decade ago. Or because I remember I used to buy Die Hard batteries. Not that I'm promoting the brand, but like they would last forever. And like my sister's brand new Tiguan, a dealer battery, went dead in like 2 years. Like, and you go to the auto parts store now for various batteries. Like, I don't know that, is there a good battery out there?
Yeah, I just got the cheapest one for last time I had to buy one, and it said 2-year warranty, and
So
if it lasts
you
2
guys
years.
are complaining your batteries are lasting. I just heard
Yeah.
you each bought the cheapest battery, and
I
then
know,
you're
but,
wondering what's not
but
lasting.
we could buy a cheap battery before, and it would last like 5 years.
Why don't you try buying a quality battery?
Well, that's what I'm gonna do next time. I'm gonna buy a quality battery.
So I bought a recycled battery, I believe, for like $50.
He bought a
Does that mean
second
on the side of the
So-
curb and
So
in
actually,
Hamden?
so it was actually on our my girlfriend and I went to Deep Creek to go snowboarding and skiing, and would you know it? Guess when it failed?
When you were
when
on
it
the
was
trip.
like 0 degrees.
Of course.
And of course
batteries hate the cold.
exactly. But I was able to like limp it up into a Walmart parking lot, and it died. Like I couldn't even park the car straight. It just died. So
So
I was
here's
lucky
the
there,
thing:
but-
is it's not an easy decision to go buy a battery nowadays either, because when you go buy a battery, you have your
Expensive.
regular flooded, acid cell battery, and then you also have AGM, and then you have some of these other lithium, whatever. And do you put in, like, if your car had a flooded one, you just put in a flooded one, or do you go AGM? Is AGM better? And does your car have to be, if you have a newer car that's kind of sophisticated, do you have to reprogram all that stuff?
Just don't go recycled. It said 6 months warranty, and it lasted 7 months. So it's
It did exactly what it told you it would
Yeah,
do.
well, unless you have like a project car, then it makes sense if you don't know if it's going to be good or not. But if
Yeah.
you want it to last, don't go recycled.
Yeah.
It's funny. I bought a cheap battery at Walmart,
And you're busting our chops. You
but I
bought it.
bought it for my riding lawnmower.
Oh,
If it dies, I just have a few feet to walk to the house. But it's finishing its 3rd year, and everywhere I read on the lawnmower forums,
Yeah.
it was you're lucky if you get 2 years out of a Walmart.
So
2-year battery.
are there internet bullies on the lawnmower forums? I'm just curious.
I Google my tech question and I look for it.
Got in, got out.
Yeah. Usually I find my answers on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it was. I wasn't going to spend a lot of money, but because I'm thinking, is this riding lawnmower going to last me 5 years? Maybe I'll just get the cheaper battery. But yeah, it's,
Know what I'm going to do for the next battery for my Cayman is I was watching a Hoonigan video recently, and they were doing some build on a new, I think, BRZ or GR86, and they had one of those aftermarket lithium-ion batteries. I think it was anti-gravity.
That's the guy that was with us when we did the video.
Yeah,
with.
exactly. We had that video on it, and
That's cool.
When he was here doing that video, I didn't, lift up a regular battery and then lift up that one. I wish I had, because you could tell just in Hoonigan's video that,
Oh, it's super light.
it's so much that you could almost just, throw it up with your one hand and catch
You
it.
can continue your quest to be faster than me.
That is exactly. That's a
we
lot of
passed
weight
that
savings. I don't think it's allowed in the street classes for SCCA, and I'm not sure about PCA, but for STR, I'm all good.
do they really check the battery? Because your battery's hidden.
Yeah, well, maybe at nationals, but I won't be going to nationals anytime soon.
All right.
So
What else?
what I thought was cool about you say you spent the whole time inside at the open house, but you were given tours.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how people's reactions when they see our national office, not realizing that the size of it and how many people work here and what goes on. And I think that's always pretty cool to get to see the inner workings of PCA National.
I feel like I'm watching a sitcom rerun because I've given the tour so many times, but the expressions on people's faces is pretty awesome when they come through, and especially at the end of the tour. I have to say, it's amazing. 80% of the people that come through the tour are brand new members, definitely haven't been to the open house. And like you said, when they learn about all the things that we do here and learn that, we own our home here, we have the podcast studio here, we have all these amazing archival pieces on display, and they get to see, Lewis Hauser's 356. They get to see our Le Mans trophy. They get to see, it goes on, and they're just going, wow, I didn't know this little car club. Because I'll be honest, when I joined as a PCA member, I just thought of my local region. And it's just, a means for me to do fun stuff with my cars. I didn't think about the national perspective. And I think this really opens people's eyes.
See, when I joined, I thought when I joined in '89, I had this vision that we had a skyscraper with a PCA at the top,
Yeah.
and it was so discouraging when I finally got involved in national, and I found that we were working out of a woman's basement,
Yeah.
Ruth Hart's basement, and we only had like 3 employees, I think, and I thought, oh my God, all this is done out of a basement, and it was discouraging, but it was impressive too at the same time.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I think you're going to need a second person giving tours because my wife, who volunteered all day, she said Melanie came up to her and said, "Hey, would you want to help out serving the food in the line, or do you want to stay here at the concierge table?" And Roxanne told me, she said, "No, I told her I'll help with the food because I knew that the tickets for the tours were sold out, and people were coming up, and they were really disappointed that they couldn't get these tickets
Yeah.
for the tours, and they really had just shown up
Oh.
at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think with the building's big enough to where when you pass a certain point, a second tour can start,
Yeah.
and you could probably get double the people through, because evidently there was a lot of disappointed people who couldn't do the tour.
Couldn't do the tour, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
At least according to my wife, there was a lot
Yeah.
of people that they were having to tell them that they were sold out of tickets.
it's kind of like a rock concert.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Oh man, but it was fun, great time, and we still have a little bit of energy in us, and we're gonna kind of continue because we did get to debut show off the Classic Club Coupe at the open house, and we did that around 10:30, I think, and had a good group of people around the car. But again, some folks came a little bit later. Some people didn't even get to come to open house. So tomorrow evening, we're going to have a little show and tell for about 2 hours in front of the office. And I think we have a good group of people, maybe 50, 75 folks.
Yeah, we'll probably reach 100 by tomorrow,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's going to be great weather. So
And did you guys hear people's reactions to the Classic Club Coupe?
I did not. I could see you giving the talk about it from far away.
Yeah.
But I think at that point we were still parking
Parked
cars.
cars, yeah.
So I didn't get over there, but I saw a lot of pictures on social media.
Yeah.
Because obviously a lot of people are seeing the car.
So
for the
this
first
picture
time.
here, the crest is pointed away from the valve stem, and I'm
Yes.
wondering if anybody
They did.
knows or
So
you
I'd
want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we were giving the presentation, people say, "Oh, someone didn't turn the crest to the valve stem like it should be." And I said, "No. If you look at where it's pointed to the Porsche text." And I shared with them when we unveiled the car at Amelia Island earlier this year, there was actually a phone call back to PAG of where the crest should point to, and the decision was made to point it to where it says Porsche,
Which
instead
would
of
have been a
valve stem.
5 a.m. phone call to Germany.
Yeah.
But we were on the field late at night in Amelia Island, and they were having a high-level discussion of what to do about the fact that somebody had heard that if it has the word Porsche on the rim, which not many wheels had Porsche.
No,
Only one I can think of right off the bat is the speed lines on the 3.6,
right.
and later the Carrera RS, that it has to point to the word Porsche, not to the valve stem.
Yeah, so the
details.
people definitely noticed the details. They loved the interior, and I was surprised a lot of them didn't realize that it had the GT3 engine and transmission. They thought it was more of a cosmetics and body and interior. And then when I, of course, told them that it was a GT3 engine, transmission, and suspension and brakes, their jaws just dropped.
Yeah,
And-
I had one person. In our world, like it's pretty famous car by now. I had somebody walk up to me and ask, "So what's the deal with this car?"
Well,
And I'm
yeah.
thinking,
well,
it's the Classic
of
Club
them.
Coupe. It's one of one GT3 drivetrain, and you could tell his eyes kept getting wider.
Yeah.
Everything that I said about it, but yeah, not everybody even knows what it is
yeah.
yet. At least.
Yeah, that's why it's still on the road show. And
Yep.
we'll be doing actually tonight on Tech Tactics Live.
Yeah, so by the time you're listening to the podcast, after you're done listening to the podcast, you can switch over to our YouTube channel and watch the replay of the deep dive into the Classic Club Coupe, which we're also going to do something that no one's seen yet, which is the underbody. Mm-hmm. We're going to lift the car up
Very carefully. Very carefully.
And,
Proper pucks in place.
and look underneath, and see what they did.
Yeah.
'Cause, I'm very curious.
Yeah, because a GT3 engine, transmission, suspension is not a plug and play to move
No,
it
not
from
by
a
any means,
GT3
yeah.
chassis to 99 C2 chassis.
It can
is-
be done, but it's not easy. And I'm dying to see how Porsche did it because obviously Porsche is not going to hack their way and do it. They're going to replace panels, and I've heard you had to maybe
reinforce.
change the firewall. I heard as well, and so yeah.
So
it's,
does it have GT3 panels apparently, or something totally unique? Or are we going to find out?
I believe, but probably when we look up, we're not going to be able to tell.
Because it'll look factory.
Yeah, it's going to
Yeah,
look
right.
factory. I don't think. I think they did all this work before they dipped it and painted it. So it'd be great to have a regular 996 next to it to show it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. At least show the viewing public what Porsche did underneath.
So we had we buttoned up the open house, and we always have some amazing prizes. We had sunglasses, hats. We had Michelin tires that were given away. Michelin tires, and the winner of the Michelin tires, I can't believe it.
2 years in a row.
I was going to drag his butt to Royal Farms and tell him to buy me some Powerball.
So Lee Raskin, he won last year, and he won this
And
year.
I think he's still waiting for his tires.
Yes,
Yeah, he is.
At least somebody told me they won tires. And
He has 2. He's waiting for the other 2.
Yes.
Now
Yeah,
he has
yeah,
another
yeah,
certificate.
But I felt like someone else should have won, and Michelin gave us another set of a tire certificate for another set. So we gave away 2 sets of tires, and Princess Cruise gave away a cruise for 2, a coastal cruise. So man, we had some pretty killer.
What's a coastal cruise?
The coast of California, I guess.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yep. So should be pretty fun for the folks that won that, and yeah.
So is the Zone Fest sold out?
The Zone Fest is not sold out. So for those of you that don't know, that is a Zone 12 cruise that is leaving December 10th, I believe. Right now they have like 500-600 PCA members.
I was telling Bob Miller that
Yeah.
I was saying you should take your wife, and
Yeah.
when I told him 600 PCA members, he was like, "What?"
Yeah. So 500-600 PCA members. I think it's like the ultimate combo because, the whole cruise thing, of course, that's going to be what you expect. But like for me, it's like when I go to the beach, like I like the beach, but I get bored very easily because there's no car content, definitely no Porsche content. But imagine going on this 8-day cruise, you have all the amenities of a cruise, but you're going to have Porsche things around you. Like we're going to have Porsche Cars North America join us. We will have Porsche themed dinners.
Did I hear that you're trying to bring actual cars onto the boat?
Yes, we're trying to bring some cars to do some technical
I really
talk.
shudder at that because the last time Porsche did that, we
Oh,
had
don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there.
We have to drain all the fluids.
Stop it.
and-
Stop it. Stop it. They're bringing celebrity chefs, and I've been selected because I guess they heard that I cook as well. I'm gonna be battling some celebrity chef.
Are you sure they don't want you to eat it, not cook it?
After they see my culinary skills, they might change their idea. But yeah,
So who's better, you or your son?
at cooking?
Yeah.
I would say my son is better at baking.
Baking, okay.
He's more like my wife's probably gonna listen. He's more like my wife. My wife and my son are very precise cookers. So when they have recipes, and Jason with cakes and breads and stuff like that. Me, I'm more of a I see the ingredients, I think of it in my head, and I throw it together. Kind of like the battling chefs. Like that's the kind of the way I cook. So I think I naturally am better at in that environment than telling me to bake a cake.
Gotcha. Yeah, baking stuff, from what I hear.
It is. You have to be very precise.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of like a pinch of this, a pinch of that, and it usually comes out pretty good.
So so the space still available.
Space
for this,
available. And the prices, I think it starts at like $4.99 per person. And if you have like multiple people in your room, the first 2 are, let's say starts at $4.99, but the third and fourth person is like 50%
Can you
off.
really put 4 people in the $4.99 room
I guess so. I mean, I'm sure they.
lying down?
I don't know. I mean, so they have different packages. Of course, you can get the inside rooms. You can get the ones with the balconies. You can get the suites. But yeah, we're inviting some Porsche celebrities as well. and hopefully they will come, and it'll be a fun time. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Nice.
And we're stopping in Puerto Rico, and so we're hoping to connect with the PCA Puerto Rico region and do an event with them. So it's like, yeah, all this cool Porsche content while on the cruise.
Yeah, somebody got. I've given away a lot of. I swear, every event I've gone to, I feel like they've given away cruises.
Absolutely, they love PCA, and we're turning into sort of their poster model of how to have a relationship with an organization, and they're creating, special bands as you wear, and when you walk through the ship, it knows everything that you like, and it's we'll have a gambling night, we'll have lounges, and we also got sim racing on board too. So they saw the sim racing rigs at Parade, and they're bringing those rigs on the ship. So hopefully I'll see some of you there.
Jim gonna be there?
I don't know who from HQ is gonna want to go, but we'll see.
Cool.
All right, you want to go into some news?
Well, there wasn't really a whole lot of news other than the stuff we've covered before, which is the IPO, which is still coming, and
It's coming,
and of course Porsche's withdrawal from Red Bull.
yeah.
Which nothing new. There's all the speculation now, and I think Jim told me he did not. Jim Hemmick we're talking about. Jim said he didn't even watch the F1 race on Sunday.
Oh no,
He's so mad at Red Bull.
He's so bummed. Oh, poor guy.
But to me, the news that I copied was that Porsche has come out. Porsche Equipment has come out with a tent that will fit on your. I think most any Porsche except for the Targas and Cabriolets, and obviously Boxsters. But you've probably seen pictures of Brock Keane.
Yep.
With his dog and his.
He'll be at Treffen
the
this
991.
week, I believe.
Yes, he will be.
Yeah.
I don't know if he actually camps in that. I see a lot of pictures. It was parked at Parade, but I never saw him sleep there.
Yeah.
It was parked on the lawn.
I mean,
but,
he has obviously gone on trips and with he and his dog and with his wife as well. I have a friend.
Is it Instagram photos? Because I'm all up for that. Just take some pictures, but then we're going to go to the nice hotel afterwards.
I think he's legit. I think he's before. I think now he's so busy that he probably doesn't always sleep in it. But before, that's how he became famous, because he was in these really remote locations and sleeping on top of his Porsche, driving. I think he has a turbo, and going through snow and staying.
So we put this on Damon's his Toyota, the $500 Toyota.
Yeah.
He's homeless. But because he's still a Porsche, he's an influencer.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's I guess there's something for everyone. Like my buddy Schwinn, he has a Jeep Wrangler all set up with a tent, and opens up a big awning.
Well, that looks pretty cool.
I know, but it's like, I mean, the amount of
I could see that at a campground.
I mean, enjoy the campground and then go to the Hampton Inn. That's nice.
I mean, I'm not a camping person, but you know how much that thing costs? The Porsche.
It's a lot. Well, I mean, not only the
$5,000.
That I mean,
so evidently you can buy non-Porsche branded ones.
What's 5,000
for half the price?
Divide 200 into 5,000. What is that?
I don't know offhand because I suck at math, but let's see here.
5,000 divided by 200.
25.
That's 25 room nights at the Hampton Inn.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
That'll last
often?
you a couple years, maybe more,
Yeah.
unless it's for work or something, right?
Exactly.
No, if that would have come to our open house and it's set up, that would have been like
that would have been
hit everyone.
Yeah.
But I look at that and I'm not a camping person, because what this doesn't show in the photograph they're looking at from Porsche is all the bugs, the humidity. Is
there a weight limit? There's got to be a weight limit.
Why are you looking at me and saying, is there a weight limit?
I'm just saying, like, usually if you're going and say there's two of you, let's say it's you and I going on this we're going on our camping trip here, and then we decide to
somebody's sleeping in the car and somebody's sleeping in the tent.
I'm guessing it's not going to be Manny and Vu weight approved on
and
that.
You need
roof.
that ladder down, so the bears are going to be able to come up the ladder too.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
or pretty much.
I mean, I think it's a very romantic idea, and more power to Brock and my buddy Schwinn that does it, but not for me. It looks cool though.
So you can order this when you're buying your car.
Oh, as like a
just like any other tech equipment option, and pick
Hey,
it up
I'm
with
gonna buy a $110,000 911 and let's go camping.
I'm hoping to see. I
Absolutely.
want to see photographs from non-influencers, just
Yeah.
regular people who are.
I think the younger generation like these experiences. I think that's
That's fine.
I look to Damon, but he's not exactly the model for his generation. But I think they love this kind of stuff. They love this experience out in the wilderness.
You gonna buy one of these, Damon?
Nope.
Again,
Way too much money.
Well, even a non-Porsche one, would you buy? Would you
No.
take your Cayman
he
camping?
is not the model millennial.
But I guess I could see taking the Cayenne camping.
It could be fun, but it's one of those things. I remember my dad bought a canoe back in the day from Costco, and you know how many times he used it?
I'm gonna throw
0.
I'm gonna throw another buddy of mine under the bus here, under the RV actually.
Oh.
So my buddy Brian decided he wanted to get like a 32-foot Winnebago RV, which is totally cool. But we used to have one, and I shared with him. I was like, yeah, it's cool for like the first time, second time, third time, but then after that, it's like your kids aren't going to want to go with you anymore, and now you've just bought this 6-figure RV. I guess if you're retired and you want to do it, that's one thing. But he's my
An RV is good for in our world of is if you're doing racing or driver's ed.
Yes.
And it's because you can tow your Porsche behind it, and having an RV at the track is like ultra lux. It's have a place to relax.
totally
you
see
plug
that.
it in. You have air conditioning, and everyone wants to hang out there.
Yeah.
Put the awnings out. That is
That's
primo, and you would use it depending what you're doing. 5-6 times a year, but it's wow. The people who had that, I thought that's the way to do it. They are enjoying. If it rains or something, or it's cold. They have a
that's
place to go in.
worthwhile.
Going to campgrounds, it's a huge industry, and I know a lot of people love that. But it's just not for me. I guess the same way people look at us going to the racetrack or going for
the fact
4
that
days of looking at cars.
People look at us, I can't believe you spent all that money on these cars when you could have gotten a $15,000 whatever and just still get to point A to point B. So
I would take it to Laguna Seca if I lived in California or near there, and it would be fun to camp at Laguna Seca.
but
for
would
one of
you
these
drive
events.
it from Maryland all the way to Laguna Seca?
No,
for a
not
weekend?
just for that.
Right. So it's
No.
like just fly, get in a car, have a hotel.
But if you're retired, I could see myself taking an RV from here to spending like 7-10 days going across the country.
I can see you doing it once.
Well, I don't know, because the real nice RVs, you pull out the grill, you stop at a Walmart, you got everything there.
I imagine Manny now showing up to a Walmart in his RV, going to the camera, pulling out his grill,
And it's a
do love
Walmart
Walmarts.
parking lot. so
flipping
you-
patties.
It's acceptable to be in your boxer shorts and just be grilling,
All right, so we
No
now
one looks
know
twice.
we know the dream. We know his dream.
That's right. That's
goal.
my retirement plan.
All right. So talk about dreams. Let's talk about sales and statistics.
So yeah, I was
What's the dream sale?
surfing for the website, just looking for anything new, and I came across the sales statistics in it, and I just started, browsing over, and it starts in, let's see what's got on my screen here.
86.
86, and you start to see what's interesting. You start to see a decline of the G series, because this is the G series is almost nearing its end. And even though in '87 they came out with the G50 and it brought some new life to the car, it still wasn't showing in sales. And if you look at the road and tracks back then, you see people commenting that the car is old.
Yeah.
They haven't done. They've had the same body style since '74, and they haven't changed a whole lot.
So for those that can't see the screen, in 1986 they sold about 30,000 units. In '87 they sold 23,000 units.
And that's
88
U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
'88 they sold 15,000, and by
then you start
1989
watching the big drop.
the big drop from 89 to 90. They're about 10,000.
The 90, you have the 89, 90, you have the new platform, the 964, and that's why there's so many 90, 960. When you say a lot, there's less than 10,000 made.
Right.
And then you start looking at 92 and 93, 3,700 cars.
Wow. And those that's across. They had 911. What did they have then? So
911, 928, 968.
yeah. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for 964s model year 91, 92, 93, those are rare.
Well, when people say they're so hard to find and they're rare, I always used to joke and say it wasn't by design.
Right.
They couldn't sell it. They were so highly priced compared to other cars, to their competition, that they just were not selling. And this is why Porsche approached the executive council of PCA looking for help to get their members into dealerships to buy cars, and that's how the Ars America was born.
Yeah.
Because they said what everyone else had been saying: make it lighter, make it cheaper, take out all the fancy stuff we don't need, and put just the basics in there. And so,
But that exercise wasn't actually, at the end of the day, a positive program for them.
no, not really. It was.
I mean, today we think of an RS America and everybody, gets all giddy about
Yeah,
it. But
no.
when it came out, and then I remember RS Americas were sitting in lots for a while,
Ironically,
and being discounted.
The most desirable RS Americas were the ones that were not selling.
Yeah.
Which ones that only had limited slip, no air conditioning, no radio, no sunroof. The four options.
And no,
only,
no rear seats in the first year, probably.
yeah, but that wasn't an
94.
option that came with the car. So there was only four options. And
Yep. I believe, weren't the 94s, didn't they put the rear seats back in?
I believe so with the
Yeah.
seat belts, but that didn't help the sales.
Yeah.
But the car wasn't an instant hit like the cars now. Now anything they bring out is like it sells out immediately.
So let's do a MythBuster thing. So the 993 is introduced, and some people, as much as people love 993s, did the 993 save and
Yeah,
make
you always
sales
hear
better?
that such and such car saved Porsche, and it was you never hear such and such car almost killed Porsche,
Yeah.
but it's always ones that saved Porsche. And
The 964 almost killed Porsche in a sense, right?
Well, the 959 was a huge.
yeah.
They were losing a lot of money on each one.
On each one, yeah.
And that's why they limited to 200 and some cars, because they were like, that's enough. We don't want to keep on losing money. But the 964, and there was a lot of economic reasons in there
Sure.
too. It wasn't like
Sure.
everyone else was having a field day selling cars and Porsche wasn't. They were struggling, and because of at the time the Deutschmark, the conversion to the dollar wasn't in their favor, so it wasn't a good time for Porsche. But 993 comes out, and that does increase sales, but not by a whole lot. And then in 97 is when the Boxster comes out.
And then
And
you
then
see
you see a jump. Previous year, 96, 7,500 cars. 97, almost 14,000 cars.
Yeah.
And then we jump up to 03, 04, and you see the Cayenne. And that really took them over the 30,000 mark. And then from there, it becomes just a hit after hit. All the way up to 2008 when the economy collapsed because of the housing
bubble.
crisis. They dropped, but not anywhere near the 90s, and but then they started building up again.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see 2009. I think 2009 they went just below 20,000, but look at in such short time between 2009 and today to go from 20,000, and what are they selling today? 70,000 units
in the U.S. alone.
And that was
They don't
limited
have-
because of the supply issues.
Supply issues, exactly.
Yeah, that would have been probably a lot more
Yeah.
if they didn't have. Even during 2020 with COVID, they went down in sales, but supply in because of the COVID. It's they've gonna say got their act together, but this is one of the benefits of having the four-door Porsche, is that they were the sales leaders, and this is what the customers really wanted. And Porsche listened. Had they not built the Cayenne or the Macan, I think Porsche would be in a whole different place right now.
For sure. And I always say, we've had a couple of models that were introduced into the lineup that may have differed from its original mission per se, but it's definitely helped the overall cause. But they didn't go too extreme. I think other manufacturers that have just tried to build so many different variants of a car, and I think of BMWs, that they lost their focus, right? And we're aligned with a brand that I think still has that heritage, performance, best in its category. It could be a sedan, it could be a two-door, it could be an SUV, it could be a compact SUV, but it all has the same recipe, and I think that is why Porsche has been so successful.
Porsche has a lot of like different models, but they all, at least everyone that I've driven, they all seem to be good. It's not like there's a bad apple in the bunch.
Right.
Like Panameras, there are so many Panamera variants. It's crazy.
I love his, and I didn't really realize this till every time I get in my mother-in-law's Chevy Equinox. The brakes are so over boosted, and then I think about other cars. You know, when you rent a car, it takes the first few miles to get used to the brakes.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, you know, all the Porsches we've driven, I've never had to get used to the brakes.
Right. It's consistent.
You know, it's the pedal feel is all the same, and I thought, you know, that's kudos to Porsche for keeping that, even with the electric.
Yeah.
Because I just did a Tech Tips article about recuperative braking and how, you know, how it works and how much Porsche engineers did to keep that brake feel the same as an internal combustion engine, even though there's a whole lot more going on with an electric car when it comes to braking than a traditional car. In fact, most of it's not even brake calipers. It's all the motors slowing the car down, not the actual brake. So it's amazing how they've kept that feel. You know, it's been very easy to sit brakes and say, well, let them get used to this whole different brake feel.
So this time next week, I'm going to be sitting in Germany and hopefully getting a glimpse of what is to come for Porsche and the lineup. I'm heading over there with 2 executive council members to talk about some projects that we have with Porsche Classic, Porsche Exclusive, visiting Weissach and such, and kind of looking forward to see. Hopefully, we get a glimpse of the future, and then I can bring that back and share with you all. But we're gonna try to connect me while I'm over there as well.
That's the plan.
Okay,
That'll be near the end of your trip.
yeah.
And for the listeners, why does PCA go to Germany? And that was a question that used to be asked 10 years ago. And the simple answer is, why does any other business meet in person? It's networking. It's creating relationships. And over the years, these relationships have led to the car we're going to do Tech Tactics Live on, the Classic Club Coupe, the 60th Club Coupe, the 50th Club Coupe. They meet the people who lead our club. They see the faces, and you know, get to hang out in social settings outside of the boardroom and office. And those relationships have lasted a long time. You know, I still keep in touch with people that I met when I was president, and to them, it's a thrill to meet people from the largest Porsche club, and you know, they respect our opinion. And you know, it's great that the executive council, or at least 2 members, are going over there to see what's going on. So it's not, you know, I used to tell people, of all the trips I went to Germany, I never got to see anything that was tourist related.
No.
Yeah, everything was, which for me was awesome. I got to see everything Porsche related, but I've never seen the famous castle.
Yeah.
Or been to different
Well,
cities.
we really,
that,
it's the agenda is so jammed packed because we want to take advantage of being over there to meet with people from every single department that we can, especially those departments that are engaged with, you know, upcoming projects. So like Manny said, we don't see the touristy stuff. You know, of course we go out to eat and such, but you know, it's waking up early, meetings, grab lunch, meetings, grab dinner, you know, a social kind of meeting, go to bed late, wake up early. And it's just that for, you know, a good number of days. And by the time you come back, you're just wiped. But you formed all these relations. You've got, you know, a number of projects that are running in parallel. And what I've found cool is, you know, I've been in this position for 17 years now with PCA, and there's people that I remember when I met the first time I went to Germany that were sort of lower on the totem pole, let's say, that have now gone up in the Porsche world, and they remember our relationship, and as they become more influential in their areas, they have PCA on their mind. So when things come about, they're like, ooh, maybe we can give PCA a heads up on this development, or I've got this great idea for a build, or here's a wheel or design that we should save for PCA when they're making their next special car. So it's an honor to represent PCA and go over there. It's a lot of hard work, but at the end of the day, PCA is going to be much better for it, and it just strengthens our relationship with Porsche, which is really, really cool. Like there's no other manufacturer that does it.
It's really absolutely necessary because future of the club, depends on Porsche's success, and if we can assist with their success, then it's awesome.
Yeah, and it's a great way for us to provide feedback to them. I remember going to Weissach one year when the 718 was introduced, and there was some controversy with the exhaust and this, that, and the other, and they asked us, would you mind sitting down with some of the engineers, and we're like, oh, we thought it was like a social setting. It was really like they set up a conference room, and we were the panelists, and they just like started throwing questions at us, and I was like, wow, they were writing notes as we were sharing with them our thoughts, and so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so next podcast will be hopefully you have a lot of pictures you can.
Yeah, I definitely will shoot some over. I'm also going to be bringing my camera and microphone setup. We're hopefully going into some very unique places, and if they allow me, I'll do some old school kind of videos where it's just me and a camera and a microphone, but maybe share with you all some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I wish we could bring this stuff into Weissach to show our members.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I think you'd be able to just take pictures of the entrance. I think most people have never even seen what the entrance to Weissach looks like.
So when you go into Weissach, you actually have to check in your phone. Then you go through
it was more thorough than when I went to the White House and did a behind the scenes tour there. Obviously the president's not there when you tour the White House, but they checked less than what Weissach checked. They were checking for any kind of recording device.
All right, so I'll be over there, but then as soon as I land in the States, I turn around and head up to Rhode Island for the gathering at the Audrain Motor Week, and we'll be at the Rough Point Doris Duke Mansion, and we have the honor of displaying Donald Osborne set us up where we'll be able to display 25 PCA vehicles, and we've got everything from speedsters, spiders, transaxle 944, Cayennes, 918 Spider, Carrera GT. We've got a cup car. So I'm trying to curate a cross section of all the cool stuff that we have. Obviously, we won't have every single model because there's only 25 spaces, but we're gonna, I think, be like the center show of this Rough Point gathering. And shout out to the Northeast region who helped me curate a number of these cars, and that should be pretty cool. We will also bring cameras and microphones for maybe a quick walkthrough of that event. So hopefully I see some members there. We're at Treffen right now, or the folks are having Treffen right now. Wrapping that up, then our plans are really focused on Unstock, November 13th at West Coast Customs. We have found out that we will have a breakfast meeting at the LA Auto Show in the Porsche, the Porsche
breakfast
display.
Or the cars and
It's
coffee?
It's not breakfast, so yeah, let me correct that. So it's like cars and coffee. It's not really even, it's the display cars, not your car, but we'll go to the LA Auto Show.
It's coffee and then looking at cars. Porsche.
So we have to make sure we clarify that because they've just simplified what they're offering.
But the best part is the members are going to be able to get in early.
Yes.
And see the Porsches, and they always unlock them. And
they'll have presentations.
You got more one-on-one time with the Porsche people before it opens up 2 hours later.
And we can't say, because we're under NDA, but there are definitely some, at least 1 or 2 very special reveal cars there.
Yeah. So what's the second one?
Moving along. All right, recent videos. Damon.
So we recently put up the corkscrew hill climb video, which was taken at Laguna Seca. It was on the Sunday of the Pebble Beach Concours, and it's one of those things that I guess has probably happened in the past, and not at all.
Not at all.
No, you remember the video? Bruce talks about how he had
approached
previous
them.
management. He tried to talk him into it.
So this is in fact the first one. Yeah.
New management didn't know anything about it. They took advantage of the fact that they didn't really know what a hill climb was.
Yeah. So we have to give Manny credit because we were talking about our travels and what we do, and we don't normally go to the Pebble Beach Concours, just honestly because of
we
pricing.
don't get free tickets.
We don't get free tickets. And
We're not paying $500.
but he did find out about this event, which honestly is very interesting to me. And timing that day, like it was amazing how timing just worked out.
Yeah.
You know, from when we got there, when we saw the Gunther Works car getting ready to go out, Damon running around grabbing his GoPros, and then Bruce coming in with Doc Hudson, getting the interview with him. Like timing was just perfect. And then we go up, we
got up the hill, and I filmed I just whipped my camera out as quickly as possible in the last like 7 cars that went by.
And it's all the clips that we needed for it to make this video happen.
Sounded incredible.
Oh, the Gunther Works car looked
my
awesome.
God.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's only like a 5-minute video, so if you just go to the PCA.
And credit
homepage.
to Damon, because that was kind of further along the line to get edited later, but we had some things move around, and he knocked it out.
That
yesterday.
was like, oh man, an hour edit.
That was
yesterday.
a rush edit, but it came out perfect.
Yeah, it came out well.
Next year for people, I would imagine, and Bruce is going to do it again next year. Think about staying on Sunday a little bit later and going to the track. It was very relaxed, and I can't imagine it being packed.
Yeah,
because of Pebble Beach, but it sure was a lot cheaper than Pebble Beach.
So I've never been to Pebble, but just based on pictures, it seems like you kind of have to prepare, maybe dress up a little bit, and deal with traffic, et cetera, et cetera. It's not really my style, my kind of thing.
Well, don't get me wrong, Pebble is still a
I want to go
bucket list
for
event
sure.
to go. I mean, there's some vehicles there that are just so over the top, and it's an experience.
Yeah, but you go over to the hill climb, and it was free. You walk in, it's a small crowd. You can get really close. They let you pass the pit wall.
We were sitting on the pit wall.
You get to sit on the pit wall and watch these cars as they're in the pit area. And it's only 60 or so cars, so you don't feel overwhelmed, and it's just very.
Plus, there was all the cars in the paddock from the reunion.
Yeah, not all of them, but there's still a ton left.
2 freaking Ferrari GTOs,
just sitting there.
Yeah.
$80 million worth of car, just sitting there with no one around it, no velvet
I
ropes,
took my
nothing.
best photos that weekend there because there was no crowd around the cars, and we just had it to ourselves. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. But so that's one video that you can watch now. So the next one I'll review will be Kelly Telfer's Bahama Mama. I had originally had, and if Peter's listening, I had his GT2 RS scheduled for today, but we have a little bit extra work to do before that goes up. So that'll be in a couple weeks. But the Bahama Mama.
Is that because Vu did the driving?
Hey.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, we got to do a ton of editing.
Because
Got to make them look better. Got
No,
to run those filters.
the problem with the GT2 RS or doing that video was the car was so stunning fast and amazing to drive. I forgot to talk because I was having so much fun.
Well, it wasn't that. No, I'm actually not saying that your video was bad in any way. It was more that we just have to do some recordings because we've come out with a fun factor
right.
rating,
So
and that doesn't have a fun factor, and the Bahama Mama did.
Yeah.
So yeah, look for that. Kelly Telfer.
But the 968 was released last week, right?
Yes. So watch the 968 video.
Oh, there it is.
Which Manny got to drive that.
I like the comments. People said I look like Tom Nitnow.
I had to look up who that was,
I remember.
But I know
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I
don't know. They're not wrong.
I look a lot like bald, chubby guys. So there was that guy on Food Network that I remember 2 ladies at the airport said, "Are you so and so?" And I had to look him up because I wasn't sure.
On this. Yeah, the guy that I know what you're talking about that eats weird stuff.
Yes. And he said they were like, "Are you sure? Are you just covering?" And I'm like,
So I'm gonna throw out a challenge for people that are listening. Who does Manny look like? And then put a link down below and let me see who you think he looks like. So there's Tom whatever. There's a German.
Be nice.
There's a German comedian that you'll find if you Google that looks like him, and then this the Food Network guy. You might find out you have like 10 doppelgangers.
Well, it's like I said.
Oh, you look like you
bald and fat. It's not hard. It's a lot of people out there.
Well, I'm not going to say it. Well, I'm going to say it after the description, but I'm not going to say it because of the description. But you also get confused with someone at Parade, too.
Oh, that's our MC. Yeah. From
Really?
30 yards away and a couple glasses of wine, people think
they
I
call
look
him
like
Mark
that.
all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
They come up to me and they'll tell me, you
They
did a
don't-
great
I've never
job
seen
last
that.
night. And at
Never
first,
seen
all the time.
All
they
the
come up.
time.
and I have to tell Marco you got compliments from these people, or they'll hand me a piece of paper and they say, "Oh, can you wish so and so happy birthday tonight?" And at first I was like, "Why are you telling me this?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're confusing me for our."
They think you are Mark.
So
Shevitz.
2 things before we sign off. Tech Tactics, we're still working on that, or is that dead?
Tech Tactics, as far as having the event in the West Coast, we are still working on it. It is not dead.
All right, so we're still hopefully
we're just trying to secure a location, and my goal is to make sure that it happens.
Yeah, it's a combination of things. It's location, which we usually have it at the Porsche training facility, and of course having Porsche speakers. So there's a lot of moving parts.
If it happens, you all have to take care of Friday at LA Auto Show and Tech Tactics because I won't be there.
Ooh,
my brother, he got married. He's getting married. Like he's like
the week.
Tell him to move the wedding.
My
brother's
not be there for member breakfast.
No. Yeah, my brother's his wedding is over 2 weekends. He's like cramping my travel.
Do what
time.
I do. I just go to the 10-year anniversary. You got to prove to me you can stay married because I've given up way too many PCA events, going to weddings to find out they get divorced a year later. Not worth it.
Yes.
And so the other thing I wanted to mention, and I've mentioned this before. So we've had several Rennsport reunion meetings already with Porsche, and I bring that up simply because once again. We're in the meeting, so if you want to get real information, accurate information about Rennsport Reunion, you're going to get it here from PCA, and particularly this podcast will let you know. I believe ticket sales, check out the next e-break. It won't be Corral, right? We don't think the Corral's going up.
These will just be for tickets.
This will be for general admission and for the
packages.
The packages, which included the suites, the VIP hospitality and whatnot.
But you need general admission to get in, and then you have the corral.
Yeah, so for the corral, we'll just get your car in, but it won't get you in.
Right.
So you need your general admission ticket. General admission gets you everywhere except the suites. And if you have a general admission ticket, no corral, you're parking outside of the track, which is in a dirt lot, and it's
not easy to find, as Manny and I found out.
Yeah, there's a lot of different dirt lots. It's a lot of real estate to cover, but I think they're going to have over 100,000 people.
Yeah, so make sure you read all of your upcoming e-break news between now and when the event happens, because we'll be doing a lot of updates.
If you're wondering what e-break news is, where can they go subscribe to it?
It's a weekly newsletter that we send out. Go to pca.org, scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, and put your email into that box at the bottom. That does not sign you up to any newsletter, so do that. Hit the submit button, and then or a subscribe button. Then after that page, you'll be able to choose exactly which newsletters or emails you would like to receive from PCA.
So e-break's free. You don't have to be a member to get it.
But you should be a member.
Yes, it would help if you're.
But if you're not, we still want you to read e-break. If you love Porsche, it has pretty much everything across the board about what you'd like to.
80% at least original content from PCA.
I'd probably say about half now, which is a lot.
80% sounds better than half.
Yeah, it does sound better, but we're
But I'm
not there
looking
yet.
at you this way. You got to agree with me, not go down.
Hey, no, 50%.
That's a lot. It's still a lot.
Grown
Yeah.
like a lot. At some point, I can see us actually, maybe really cutting down on the outside content.
But here's the thing with the content is, 50% of it is curated, 50% of it is PCA, original content, and we do the metrics, and believe it or not, the PCA content is typically the top 5.
Yeah, it's one of the longest newsletters I've ever seen, and I've heard that repeated. Yet we have 70% open rate, which is over twice industry average. Our click rate. So you guys like the content,
right?
We're
And
gonna keep doing it.
For those that don't listen to the podcast yet, or they don't watch us on YouTube, it is one-stop shopping to learn everything about Porsche and PCA on a Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning when you get to the office and open it up, and then you're ready for Cars and Coffee for the following week, and everything that's going on in the PCA and Porsche world.
Yeah, so this is free. I know a lot of podcasts I listen to are always asking for money or asking you to join this and pay a monthly fee. This is all free, and so you get news every week. You can delete it or you can read it, but this is where all the Rennsport information is going to be coming out. And if you're coming to Rennsport, you definitely want to get the information as soon as it hits e-break. which comes out every Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, depending on your email.
Yeah, Tuesday night, 8 p.m.
Yep. All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and you own a Porsche, what are you waiting for? Grab that VIN and go to PCA.org and join. If you don't have a Porsche and you need our help to find one, join the test drive program. All of it at PCA.org. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page, behind the scenes photos, videos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. You can always email us, message us, podcast@pca.org, or simply comment on the YouTube podcast video. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.
I look like Brad Pitt, they're going to tell me.